In a trailer for his new podcast, Tyreek Hill said that he wanted to remain in Kansas City and he never initially wanted a trade before contract talks broke down. His co-host follows up, asking if Tyreek thought the Chiefs intentionally underutilized him, so his stats in order to decrease his cost. The trailer abruptly ends before Tyreek can answer. You're going to have to tune in to find out the answer. Shannon, what do you think is going on here?
Tyreek just talking. No one suppressed his stats, Skip. The Chiefs wanted to keep him. They just weren't willing to make him the highest paid receiver in football. With, a year or two left on his contract. They weren't willing to surpass the Devontae Adams deal. The Miami Dolphins were. Skip, he said they tried to suppress his stats at the end. Hopefully, he said that's not the case. He led the team in targets, 159. Led the team in receptions, 111. Led the team in receiving yards, 1,239. Tied for the receiving lead with touchdowns. Suppress how? Tyreek Hill had the third most drops in football. So what kind of numbers would he have had if he didn't have the third most drops in football?
Are you then suggesting he's just hyping his new podcast?
I think that's what it is.
Teasing it?
I think that's what it is. And then he had Drew Rosenhaus on there, his agent, and they just, I wanted to remain, but they weren't willing to make you the highest paid. Devontae became the highest paid, Skip, because he was a free agent.
Yeah.
He was free. Come on, Tyreek. I mean, look, Skip, I get it. You got the money is great. But I don't believe that in a situation like that, after as good as the Chiefs were to you, Tyreek, did you forget what transpired in college and why you had to leave Oklahoma State? And do you forget what transpired when you was there in Kansas City and they rode with you?
They rode.
Come on, bruh.
Yeah. Okay, so to your point, Tyreek had 25 more targets in the regular season than Travis Kelce did. Then I tried to look harder at the postseason. Well, Ty still had 28 targets in the postseason to 27 for Kelce, and you can't argue that, right? I mean, it's Travis Kelce, right?
Skip, you got him under contract. Why would I try to suppress? I'm going to try to get all I can out of you.
Okay. Was he mad about the Cincinnati loss at home? Because in that game, Kelce had one more target than he did, 11 to 10, and caught 10 balls to Tyreek's 7. Was it some strategic blunder in Ty's mind just in the Cincinnati playoff loss?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
No, Skip. I just think the thing is, like, look, bro, I get it. You got a little podcast and you try to, Tyreek say they try to suppress his numbers because they didn't want to give him no big deal. What? I'm trying to win. I ain't trying to suppress anything. I'm going all out, bro.
Well, I got bad news for Tyreek because speaking of suppressed numbers,
they about to be suppressed.
Try Tua on for size and see how suppressed you get, right? Because you can call every play for Tyreek Hill and Tua just not going to get him the football.
He's not. You're going to catch it. Tyreek, you don't realize how many jailbreak and smoke screens that you're going to catch and jet sweeps you're going to have, because that guy that you got now, I like Tua, accurate up into a point. He's not going to be pushing the ball down the field 50 and 60 yards like you got from Patrick Mahomes. Realize your career took off. I'm not saying that you weren't a very good player, but you look at his numbers with Alex Smith, and then look at his number with Patrick Mahomes, and you see if you notice a difference between the two.
In Kansas City, you had to honor him by playing off him because you had to respect him running past you because he ran by any and every. I told you, he's as fast in pads as I've ever seen. He is truly the cheetah. In Miami, what he's going to find is he's going to have two defenders up in his face because they're not going to respect his deep speed because Tua can't get the ball. Right?
Skip, he had the most receptions in his career. He had the third best as far as yards, and he had his career high reception, third best mark in receiving yards and touchdowns, and they suppressed the stats.
I say the over/under is 2 games for him to start complaining publicly about the quarterback can't get me the football.
I don't think he's gonna complain publicly.
No, because he got his bag.
He got the bag. He got what he wanted, and like I said, I believe Kansas City was willing to go to a point with the numbers, but $30 million. They weren't willing to go there because you still got Kelce, you got Patrick Mahomes, got to make money, you got Chris Jones.
Well, hey, Mahomes is going to miss him, but he's going to miss Mahomes.
He's going to miss Mahomes. I believe a lot more than Mahomes is going to miss him.
It'll be interesting to see next season, guys. We've got more on former first-rounder Greg Newsome is sounding off about OBJ and the Baker Mayfield dynamic last season. He called OBJ, quote, probably the best teammate. Then, when talking about Baker, he added, quote, the crazy thing is Baker was a great teammate, too. Shannon, what did these comments tell you about Odell versus Baker?
Nothing. The guys were very good in the locker room, that it just didn't work on the field. The chemistry that they had in the locker room, Skip, and what was displayed in the locker room didn't translate to the field. And you know that happens sometimes. Having been around locker rooms covering the game, you know sometimes you can have a great relationship in the locker room and the chemistry doesn't work on the field. And sometimes the chemistry does works on the field and you don't have the best relationship off the field. And that's great too. Because you're there to win football games. Nobody goes into the NFL like, man, I'm trying to make as many friends as I possibly can. By the time you reach that level, you got damn near all the friends you really need. Because those are the guys that saw you when you didn't have anything. So most of my friends, I have friends that I met when I played in the NFL. Most of my friends came from when I was in Pee Wee and high school and college. So it doesn't tell me anything, Skip, but it also tells me these guys are ready to move on. Odell isn't coming back. Baker, I don't believe is coming back. And I know Cleveland, like, well, we can hold on to him. You'll be a fool to hold on to a guy that's got 19. Just pay $13, $14 million, which is less than the $19 million you'd have to pay him, and go ahead and trade him and move it on and get that headache out of your building. It's a headache that you created because you could have went about this a different way, and that he still would have felt some type of way, Skip. Nobody feels good about being replaced, but it was how you handled the situation. It made him uncomfortable. Now you're uncomfortable. You're squirming. Man, what are we going to do? What do we do? Here we are, June right now. Teams, you're stuck. But I don't read anything into it, Skip. They were both teammates. That relationship just didn't materialize on the field like it did off the field.
Okay. I read a lot into it because I have respect for a Greg Newsome II, who was a first-round pick out of Northwestern. He's a sharp young man, and he crystallized my view better than any current Brown has, because I think they've all been reticent to talk about Baker because they got Deshaun.
Right.
And Deshaun, as I've told you from the start, as a Baker fan and defender, Deshaun's just better than Baker because he's better than just about everybody, except a couple of others.
Right.
And yet, in the end, the reason I'm still so baffled to the point of being tormented about what happened in Cleveland with Baker and Odell is what Greg Newsome summed up is that, yeah, everywhere Odell has gone, everybody loves him. You know him.
Yeah.
I know him a little bit, but I've communicated with him a little bit. But the point is, you have a feel for, he's fun to be around.
Yeah.
He's got a big heart, and he's a smart guy.
Very outgoing, very personable.
Very, very personable. And so wherever he goes, he makes a whole lot of friends.
Yeah.
Not that he tries, but he's magnetic.
Right.
He attracts teammates to him, and they want to be around him because he's got a great cool factor, and he's got a great way about him, but he has a cool humility about him, right? That doesn't come across, even though he can, especially in New York, he can act like a diva on the sidelines. He does not act like a diva in the locker room, from what I've heard.
Yes.
Okay, so Greg Newsome is saying he's probably the best teammate I've had, and yet he thinks for a second and stops and says, the crazy thing is, Baker was a great teammate too. Well, I've told you, I got a couple of pretty good sources in Cleveland who have said that Baker was still, to the bitter end, popular among a majority of players in the locker room.
Right.
I'll quickly read a quote from Myles Garrett. I was told Myles wasn't the biggest fan of Baker.
Right.
And so he was a little more cold-blooded in his evaluation of what happened, and his point was Baker played pretty well when he was healthy. When he's healthy, he can do some pretty good things for a team. He just has to find his niche again. I think he has to prove himself that he has to be healthy. So now it's up to Baker to go prove himself again, because that was a long, hard struggle last year, and you made the case he probably should have just shut it down after the second game. When he needed surgery on his torn labrum and he fractured his shoulder, just say, I can't do it.
Exactly.
I'm out.
Yep.
But instead, there's a whole lot of bad tape from last year. And there's also a lingering bitter taste in everybody's mouth because for some reason, as back to Greg Newsome said, that relationship between Odell and Baker, he said it was just off. That was the word he used. Well, it was. It was just off. And he said, yes, it was distracting, but we all just kept trying to do our job. Okay, I got it. I told you before Odell's last season in Cleveland, Baker and Odell went on vacation together in Montana. So I always thought they were really close.
Right.
Like, I don't think you go on a vacation with somebody